Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack here at the Irish Hotspur, and I'm going to be delivering a slight sort of news update and opinion piece here at the same time, where we're going to be looking at the two players that Spurs have been linked with that I've seen through different Spurs aggregators, and it looks like we have been linked with Ricardo Calaffiori of Thiago Motta's very exciting Bologna, and then also have been linked with Miguel Gutierrez of Girona, an also very exceptional side this season that has been definitely defying some expectations for sure, and I think are both very attacking, very exciting teams to watch that when you're looking at maybe the players from these sort of teams probably would fit into this Ange Postecoglou system very well. And I'm also going to look at maybe what sort of players and what sort of, types of players we should be looking at for this summer, because it looks like Spurs are still definitely beefing up in that defensive backline area. And I think that's very advisable. It's something I would still take a look at. And let's just maybe, theorize and have an opinion about which sort of players, what types of players maybe Spurs should be looking at in that sort of area of probably the left-sided center back position. And in my opinion, the left back position really needs to be taken a look at this coming summer. Let's take a look at Bologna's Ricardo Calaffiori. This looks to be a promising center back here, people. I'm really liking his aerial win percentage. He's really high in that department. He's in the top percentiles of just aerials won, but also when it comes to aerial win percentage, so he's not losing too many of them either, which is a good sign that he's dominant in that category, especially for only being so young. His tackles, interceptions are just fine. I believe he was in sort of the top 20th percentile there. Blocks look great. When you look at maybe his percentage of dribblers tackled, basically measuring his one-on-one ability, it wasn't really something to rave home about, but it also wasn't something to really get that worried about either, because he doesn't really have too many one-on-one moments from what I was able to tell. So I think the percentage then was always going to be quite low. Fouls committed, he does commit a few fouls, or not a few a game, but he does commit definitely some fouls per match for sure. And it was at least in the, I think, bottom 15 percentile there. So he's committing some of the more fouls of any center back in the Serie A. Just shows perhaps a lack of discipline, or maybe he's very aggressive, which I'm usually a big fan of, actually, when it comes to center backs. I prefer them usually to be in that more aggressive department, but something to look out for there. And when it came to the rest of his defensive stats, really wasn't anything that was too concerning of any kind. It really is more in sort of the possession department that he really stands out. Has great passes completed. He's in completing some of the most passes of any center back in the Serie A. Great passes into the final third per 90 as well. And he's really good at carrying the ball. I saw actually some decent successful take-ons per 90, compared really well to most center backs there. Just had really good, just in possession numbers, I think, when it came to just carrying the ball out from the back line, and also when it came to setting up his teammates. He even had some decent key passes for a center back as well. So somebody that really looks to be promising, looks to be comfortable playing with the ball and sort of playing in maybe higher line, more progressive on the front foot type of teams. And that's a good sign too, because you don't always want to throw somebody from maybe a completely different style of play into our, system, because it might take them a bit longer, I think, to get used to things. So Calafiore looks to be a decent signing, or at least a decent link. I shouldn't say that it's someone that we're going to actually go after or someone we're actually pursuing, but it sort of makes sense. And I approve of these sort of Serie A type center back talent signings that we've been going after of recent. I think we have a really good track record with it, just sort of as an area that I'm comfortable with because of the work of Don Paratici. I also do think this could be similar to the Radu Dragusin type of signing, where it's maybe in the mold of a guy that's going to be young and still learning and still progressing, but is going to make that step up to a much higher level with much better teammates around him to compete with, but also playing in still a very possession dominant, very on the front foot type of style of play, which certain center backs want to be playing in. And I guess this guy could fall in that category for sure with the team that he's playing for right now in Thiago Motta's Bologna side. So big thumbs up for me. It seems to be similar to that Radu Dragusin signing. The other area that I really want to take a big dive into actually is sort of the left back area this summer. I think it's something we really need to take a look at pretty urgently. I was kind of a bit disappointed that we didn't sign anything or sign anyone this January window. Felt like there could be some worries if UDOGIE were to pull up with an injury or another suspension of some kind, because when he is out of the team, we do really miss him because he offers so much defensively. I think he's put out a lot of fires this season, despite some of the mistakes that he has made of recent. I do feel like he's put out a lot of defensive fires for us that definitely would have been goals if it wasn't for his anticipation, his power, his intelligence, and seeing danger before it happens. He's good in the air. He just has been really solid for us in the defensive department. And then I think everybody knows how good he is in possession. He drives a lot of our attacks for us. He knows how to receive it on the half turn, knows how to move into that inverted position in midfield to be able to link up play, and can get his man spun and be able to drive an attack all on his own just by beating his man in midfield. He's just a fantastic left back for us. And so what we need is someone who can try to mimic and try to basically do all of that. And I just don't see it with the majority of the left back sort of backups that we have to offer right now. Ben Davies, certainly not. I think he's played his best position or best sort of games this season as a center back rather than as a left back. And really that Crystal Palace performance showed enough for me that he's not good enough anymore in this sort of system as a left back. Ryan Sessegnon, I think you just got to get rid, never available, and I don't really know what he offers anymore going forward or defensively. Mickey Van de Ven, I just don't think it's realistic to ask of him to do what UDOGIE does in that left back position. I just don't see him being as agile really on the ball as someone like UDOGIE can be in possession going forward, driving those attacks as well as tracking back as well. I think Mickey Van de Ven be fine defensively, but no, I just don't think he could do what UDOGIE does in possession. And then you look at someone like Emerson, but Emerson is, I think, again, similar to Mickey Van de Ven, just not going to be nearly as agile or good enough in sort of technique when it comes to driving attacks and getting things started going forward. So we're really going to be needing to look for a fine technician, somebody who knows how to make an attack, make an opening, create a chance all on his own, be able to spin his man, be able to turn his defender, drive the ball forward just by carrying it through the midfield, someone who has a good eye for a pass, knows how to make runs beyond his winger, and also knows how to put out fires defensively and still has a good defensive head on him. So really just the complete left back, kind of like what we have with UDOGIE here. So let's take a look at Miguel Gutierrez, see if he has something similar to offer, if he would be a decent talent or a decent guy to look at from Girona. And I need to see more, I think, of him. I do watch Girona every now and again, and I've been very, kind of intrigued and really excited by sort of their run in La Liga. I'm not sure if they're going to really win the whole thing, but it has been a bit of a Leicester story from them this season. And I have definitely watched a bit of Gutierrez where he's caught my eye just with the whole attacking nature of that team, especially in just sort of the fullback areas as well as sort of the winger areas. And Gutierrez, I definitely would like to see more of. Maybe I'll just keep a better eye on him, but doesn't really compare too favorably with UDOGIE in really any area. Perhaps he's a better crosser from what I've seen, but UDOGIE, I think, really does excel at especially just being in and around the penalty area and slipping passes into the box, into the wingers, into the strikers. He plays really well in the tight areas of the penalty box, I think, UDOGIE, but he's not really, I guess, always known for whipping in, big kind of looping crosses, right to a striker, kind of like Perisic would, I guess, for us last season. So I'm kind of, need to see a bit more from Gutierrez. So all I would say is, somebody to keep an eye on, somebody that Spurs, I could see why they're looking at him just because he's playing for such an attacking and progressive side in Girona, and that would make sense how he would fit in to an Ange Postecoglou system. But let's take a look at someone else that I've heard a lot mentioned, by Spurs fans as a guy that definitely could sort of suit us, and that's actually the fellow Yank here, Anthony Robinson, and he seems to be well liked by most Spurs fans and sort of Premier League fans in general, and I can see why, right? He seems to be a powerful, as well as decent going forward type of left back. He's has more tackles and interceptions than UDOGIE does this season, does well in the one-on-ones, much better in the air than actually most fullbacks, I would say, in the Premier League these days, especially now where I think most fullbacks kind of aren't really that tall or that powerful, where Anthony Robinson certainly is, and he can handle himself in the physical department. He also does well going forward when it comes to carrying in possession, has decent progressive carries, not too far behind the likes of Destiny UDOGIE, also has actually more successful take-ons per 90 than Destiny UDOGIE, which certainly is impressive. And he does his job, I think, going forward. He has good key passes there, as you can see, level with Destiny UDOGIE. I think he whips in a lot of crosses whenever I see him play. So Anthony Robinson, I think, would be a serviceable left back and really good competition for him. Is it realistic? I'm not sure. I feel like Spurs are sort of his level. Like, I think he is better than Fulham at this stage, Anthony Robinson. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a move in the near future. And he seems like a guy that could benefit from playing in a more attacking system. Does well playing for Fulham, does well, handling his own defensively, but he does have some good attributes going forward. And I can definitely see why a lot of Spurs fans, especially a lot of American Spurs fans, would see him as an ideal candidate for as a backup or as competition for UDOGIE here. So I approve of that one, if Spurs were to take a look at him this coming Premier League summer window. And also a player that I've actually been a big fan of. This is the one that personally would be my kind of choice actually for this system, and might be a little bit out of left field here, but I really like Ryan Ayet-Nouri. I think he's really, really good in possession. One of the more skilled technique, sort of technician type players in this Premier League. And what I really like about him is just his genius kind of like in tight areas. Like, he just pulls off these sort of flicks and tricks and sort of just like, moves and just sort of, he just has ability in tight areas that is sort of asked of a lot of our players in this Ange Postecoglou system. I think, Destiny Udogie and Pedro Porro do such a good job when they are asked to make a difficult pass or asked to, receive the ball in a difficult area with defenders all around them. They know how to handle themselves in these types of situations. And I think actually Ryan Ayet-Nouri is somebody who I would say definitely falls in that category and definitely is just a clever and very smart technician of a left back. He definitely maybe has some question marks for me sometimes defensively. Like, I would say maybe Destiny Udogie could be a bit better when it comes to just his overall maybe pace and power and anticipation as well. Sometimes I've seen Ayet-Nouri not really have the best of games defensively, but I wouldn't say he's a liability either. Something maybe I just have to take a deeper look at when it comes to his kind of defensive just sort of ability. But I really do like just his ability in sort of possession and taking on his man, spinning his defender, getting attacks going, just be able to keep possession as well. He seems like a guy that would actually even do well in a Pep Guardiola system, just with how good he is at just keeping possession. And he's sort of a guy that I would think would be really hard to take the ball off of, and is really tricky as well. Just knows how to pull off a move when you least expect it, has good sort of anticipation when it comes to making moves going forward. And I just really like Ryan Ayet-Nouri. I just think he's a player that would actually suit the system, suit Spurs, and sort of the way that we go forward in a lot of ways. So let me know, everybody, in those comments down below what you think of Ryan Ayet-Nouri and whether that would be a good suggestion as well for the left back position. And that's really all I have for this video. It just was sort of a quick response to some of the news that I saw in that transfer department. Not going to give much sort of kind of truth to the news or anything like that, but I think what I wanted to sort of talk about here was these are players in the right areas that I think Spurs should be looking at beefing up this summer. Still need to find good competition as well as a good backup for Mickey Van de Ven for next season. I kind of approve of a Serie A type of talent or center back if we're going to look in that department, just because we've done so well there. And then I really would like us to take a look at a left back this summer, somebody who can mimic as well as behave in a similar way to how Udogie does in possession as well as out of possession. For me, I just would go with Ryan Ayet-Nouri just because I do think he has that extra bit of genius really in possession, and it's just much more of a technician than most left backs I think in this Premier League. But I could totally understand why we'd be looking at this guy Gutierrez, who's been playing for a really progressive attacking side in Girona, as well as also Anthony Robinson, who's been a well-suggested left back that a lot of Spurs fans have been suggesting to me and plenty of others. So everybody, if you did like this video, feel free to smash that like button for me. Get your comments in. Let me just know what sort of left backs or left side center backs you'd like us to be taking a look at this summer, and whether you agree with me that these are two real priority positions that Spurs should be looking at beefing up this summer. I'll be leaving you though, everybody. Come on, you Spurs. In the big Ange we trust. We never stop. I'll be seeing you.